You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Forget the lies, the money. We're in this together and through it all. They said that nothing's forever, and they refuse to see the change in me. Why won't they wake up? Come on, come on, come on. Let's get out to the music. Play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
WWF Friday Night's main event took place on August 29th, 1997 and September 5th, 1997. With Raw's War getting preempted for the US Open, the USA Network gave the WWF time slots on Friday night. WCW benefited greatly here as Nitro went unopposed for 2 Mondays in a row, and they saw an incredible jump in viewership in back-to-back weeks. The WWF were trying to build towards their first 3-hour in-your-house event, and moving to a new night was not ideal, but they went ahead and they put on these special shows. For whatever reason, these Friday night main event broadcasts are not on the WWE Network nor Peacock. I don't know if the company just forgot they took place, so if someone from WWE's watching, send a memo to whatever department handles these things and get these events uploaded. Unfortunately, I've had to use pretty old uploads of these events and the quality isn't great, so apologies in advance. But let's get started. These are the WWF's 1997 Friday night main event shows. Friday night's main event takes the same format as Saturday night's main event, where big main event matches and promos take place at the start of the show. The final matches are mid-card or lower mid-card matches. I'm sure it was an interesting experiment in 1997, but it also gave predictable results in the quarter breakdowns. The 29th of August show kicks off with a Shawn Michaels interview conducted by Jim Ross, and remember, the last time we saw HBK was when he destroyed The Undertaker with a steel chair. DX is now part of the WWF, although they haven't given themselves a name just yet. HBK says the WWF painted him into a corner once again on Raw's War, and the Heartbreak Kid had no other choice but to be reactionary. HBK calls himself the real ticking time bomb. He lashes out and he does so without thinking. The WWF pushed and pushed, and when you push the Heartbreak Kid, you're going to get a reaction. HBK picks up the chair he whacked The Undertaker with, and he says everyone believes he just signed his own death warrant, but Shawn says no one tells him what to do, and so he refuses to lay down and die at In Your House next Sunday. HBK admits he didn't want any of this to happen, but seeing as he's the only guy with a set of balls in the World Wrestling Federation, he'll take whatever comes his way. At Ground Zero, HBK and The Undertaker are going to lock up, and Shawn says if he's going down, he's taking everyone else with him. Michaels gets all fired up when the crowd assumes his sexual preferences, and HBK wraps it up by saying he'll be the first man to make The Undertaker permanently rest in peace. The first outlaw of the World Wrestling Federation is going to dance all over The Undertaker's corpse. Bret Hart vs. Vader is our first matchup, and the WWF Championship is on the line. Bret wonders why a tub of goo like Vader can show up and get himself a shot at the WWF title, and Vader gets to work when Bret says he's going to kick the big man's ass in the middle of the ring. The crowd pops when Vader disrespects the Canadian flag and Bret gets whacked with the maple leaf. Vader sends Bret over the top rope, but his running attack on the outside misses its mark. The Hitman throws Vader into the steps, and back in the ring, Vader takes a double axe handle. Bret pulls off a picture-perfect back suplex before hitting his signature elbow drop just as we take a commercial break. When we come back, Hart takes a boot to the face followed by a clothesline. We then get a good old-fashioned slugfest in the corner, but it ends with Bret getting floored with a short-arm clothesline. Vader then hits a splash and Bret decides to grab a steel chair. The Hitman slides the chair into the ring, but Vader slides Bret's rope right into Bret's ballsack. Vader grabs the chair, Bret's in deep trouble, and so Owen Hart and the British Bulldog hit the ring and the match ends in disqualification. Bret gets some payback by kicking Vader right in his Vader bombs, and we see the figure 4 around the ring post. The Patriot runs down to break it up, and the Hart Foundation get out of harm's way. After the match, Dale Wilkes cuts a promo. He says he won't stand by and let anyone get triple teamed, no matter who it is. At Ground Zero, the Patriot plans on taking Bret's championship, and just to remind everyone, Ground Zero In Your House gets covered on the channel this Sunday. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn your notifications on. Sunny joins the commentary team and she doesn't condone what Brian Pillman said to Goldust and Marlena last week on Raw, like if anyone cared about Sunny's opinion anyway. Sorry, but it's true. Goldust has a match with Salvatore Sincere, remember that guy? And you'll now notice that we're working our way down the card as Friday night's main event continues on. I got a few comments asking why I didn't compare these shows to Nitro, and this is the main reason why. The card's flipped upside down. Plus, the video quality isn't great either. What's also apparent as this match continues on is that these tape shows are heavily edited. Matches are seriously cut down in length. The match was used to build up the Goldust vs Brian Pillman match at Ground Zero, and Pillman even showed up after Goldust won the bout with a curtain call. Pillman says it won't be long until Goldust's lady spends 30 days and 30 nights with a real man. He asks Dustin how his little daughter Dakota's doing, and Pillman says he's sorry Goldust had to find out the hard way that the loose cannon doesn't shoot blanks. Goldust chases Pillman through the crowd, but he can't catch him. The commentators then talk about Steve Austin, and they remind us that Austin's status for Ground Zero is still not certain. It's unknown if Austin will defend the tag titles along with Dude Love at the pay-per-view. The Jim Ross hotel interview is then replayed in its entirety, which I wasn't too bothered about. It's a fantastic interview. Back in the arena, Dude Love had a match with Rockabilly, and Jim Ross announces during the entrances that Steve Austin's status for Ground Zero will get confirmed on the next episode of Friday night's main event. The resiliency of Dude Love was on full display here. Mick Foley kept coming back after Rockabilly's attacks, and the Dudester entertained fans by being the hippest cat in the land. We saw Foley pull off sweet shin music on TV for the very first time. Rockabilly gets kicked. We see the double arm DDT, and Dude Love wins via pinfall. JR interviews Foley after the bout, and Foley says he and Austin will either fight together or they'll forfeit their belts together at Ground Zero. So we now know that Dude Love won't seek another tag team partner if Austin can't compete. Dude Love compares Steve Austin to cheap toilet paper. He doesn't take crap from anybody, and it ends with Foley getting jumped by a few Dude Love groupies. Sunny tries to interview Bret Hart, but Bret Hart says this.
Bret, if you don't mind, I'd like to get a word with you.
Tramps in the dressing room, especially American ones. Get out! Get out of here! Owen, get out!
Fucking savage. Owen tells Sunny to send a message to Commissioner Slaughter. Owen wants Stone Cold cleared to wrestle. The King of Hearts wants to end Austin's career for good the next time they meet in the ring. The Undertaker comes out to cut a promo. Jim Ross announces a Taker vs Triple H match for next week's show, and The Undertaker says he'll give Shawn Michaels credit. HBK can sure swing a chair and he can run his mouth like no one else in the WWF. Taker says the reason he and Shawn never fought in the past was because the dead man wanted someone left untouched who could tell the story of The Undertaker, but because Shawn ruined that at SummerSlam and on Raw's War, the Heartbreak Kid is now sentenced to an eternity of hell. Taker thought Shawn was a little smarter. HBK should have known The Undertaker would get back up after the chair shots, and Taker says when the blood flowed from the Phenom's head, he used it to sign Shawn's death warrant. At Ground Zero, Shawn Michaels will rest in peace. Davey Boy Smith vs Road Warrior Hawk took place next, and Hawk couldn't wait to get his hands on the Bulldog. While Davey took a jumping shoulder tackle in the ring, Road Warrior Animal took care of Owen on the outside. Davey took a neckbreaker, he took a big boot. Hawk even pulled off a signature Bulldog move, the vertical suplex. Davey punched Hawk square in the balls, and then we see the Bulldog's vertical suplex. Friday night's alright for fighting, and Friday night's alright for chinlocking.
Davey Boy Smith chinlock.
Hawk fights out, but he takes a knee to the midsection. The Godwins then show up as Hawk begins his comeback. Hawk goes to the top rope, but Davey manages to punch Hawk during the jump. Hawk then gets dumped out of the ring, and Owen Hart gets in a few cheap shots. But when Davey tries to pin his opponent, Hawk gets a foot on the ropes. We come back from a commercial break, and
Davey Boy Smith chinlock.
They tried to sneak that one past us, the dirty bastards. The Godwins continue watching the match as Hawk pulls off a powerbomb. Hawk then goes upstairs, but Owen attacks the Road Warrior with the European belt, and the ref calls for the bell. Animal gets in the ring, Davey and Owen get taken out, and the Godwins leave as the Legion of Doom celebrate in the ring. There's a fatal 4-way tag team match scheduled for Ground Zero, and all three teams here will be involved. Sunny looks a little creeped out as she interviews Los Boricuas. Savio confirms the faction returned the dirty old assholes' bags because Commissioner Slaughter ordered them to do so. Nobody cares, Savio. Nobody cares. Savio says he's gonna take out Crush and Farouk in the triple threat match at Ground Zero. Speaking of Farouk, he and Rocky Maivia teamed up to take on Chains and Crush. Los Boricuas showed up, The Nation showed up, the biker Michael Liker showed up, and you know how this one ends. It's the same old shit when it comes to these gang wars. Slaughter comes to the ring to break up the fight when Dave Hebner takes a slam. I'm not looking forward to this triple threat match at Ground Zero at all. Jerry Lynn, who we last saw on WCW Nitro as Mr. JL, has a match next against Taka Michinoku, and this one sounds really good on paper, but unfortunately the guys don't get much time. Lynn impresses with an arm drag to start things off, Taka applies a headlock, and when the two get back to their feet, Michinoku gets hit with a clothesline. Lynn gets a chance to show off his aerial skills with a somersault plancha, and Jim Ross says Taka likes America and American ladies as he pulls off a snapmare followed by a dropkick. Lynn fires back with a body slam. He goes upstairs, but Taka's there to greet him and we see a Hurricane Rana. Taka then pulls off a springboard plancha, and it's hard not to be impressed with the height Michinoku gets on this move. Taka misses a moonsault in the ring, Lynn pulls off a sit-down powerbomb, but Taka kicks out at 2. A corner drop kick from Lynn gets answered with a corner knee strike, and Taka pulls off a top rope drop kick. We then see the Michinoku driver, and Lynn loses via pinfall. The show ends with a tag team match, the Headbangers versus Recon and Sniper of the Truth Commission. It ended with Recon holding Mosh's tights, or dress, during a roll-up. Not a lot to see here. The following week, Friday night's main event aired again, and once again, the format's backwards. Main events are at the start, mid-card matches at the end. Unfortunately, the quality of this video isn't as good as the first, and things get almost unwatchable in places, so apologies in advance. I'll try to get through this one while spending minimum time on parts with bad video. Keep in mind too that this show, the 5th of September broadcast, was taped immediately after the previous show. This episode of Friday night's main event also serves as the go-home show for Ground Zero in your house. Doc Hendricks replaced Jim Cornette on commentary, and this one starts off with Owen Hart taking on The Patriot. The King of Hearts shows that dastardly Patriot how you're supposed to wave a flag before the match gets underway. It's all Patriot to begin with. He hits a hip toss, a body slam, he applies a wrist lock before taking Owen down with a drop toe hold, and Owen gets put down again with a running shoulder block. A spinning wheel kick puts Owen back in the match, and Owen tries to soften up the Patriot's leg, a strategy we're sure Bret Hart will incorporate at Ground Zero. Patriot gets slammed to the mat and we see a second rope elbow drop from Owen, but the Patriot kicks out. We come back from a commercial break and Owen's on the top rope again. He hits Patriot with a drop kick, but Del Wilkes kicks out. Owen tries to lock in a sharpshooter, but he's unable to do so. Patriot answers with a power slam, and the Patriot hits a drop kick of his own as Hendricks and Ross put Wilkes over on commentary. Patriot hits a clothesline followed by a back suplex, but Owen kicks out at 2. The King of Hearts counters a suplex with an enziguri, but Owen's top rope attack gets stopped with a slam. The match then comes to an end when Davey Boy Smith and Bret Hart hit the ring. It's the same finish as the Bret vs Vader match. And speaking of Vader, the big man comes down to the ring to save the Patriot. Davey and Owen get taken out by the big man, and the Patriot's able to hit the Uncle Slam on Bret thanks to a little help from Vader. Not a brilliant match at all. In fact, none of the matches we've watched so far have been all that noteworthy. Loads of run-ins in Friday night's main event and loads of one-sided encounters. Sergeant Slaughter delivers some bad news in regards to Steve Austin. This video was apparently recorded earlier in the week. Stone Cold has been suspended for his own good. The WWF believe Austin will still try to fight people even with a badly injured neck, so the company has no choice but to send Austin home. This is for Austin's own benefit and the benefit of the World Wrestling Federation. Slaughter says Austin has more guts than brains, and because Austin is now officially suspended, he must give up his Tag Team Championship belt at Ground Zero. A camera crew visited Steve's home, and Stone Cold isn't impressed that these nobodies are asking him questions about his suspension. Austin says it's bullshit that the WWF want to get an interview on his time after suspending him, But he has second thoughts and he decides he wants to show the fans at home the care package that Vince and the World Wrestling Federation sent to his home. We take a commercial break. Sunny gets sent to the commentary desk again where she says she wants to interview Rick Rude and Shawn Michaels on tonight's show. And then we go back to Steve Austin. He's carrying a crossbow in the care package. Jim Ross, Vince McMahon, Gorilla Monsoon and Owen Hart sent Austin some signed photos, but Steve isn't impressed. The handwriting's the same on every photo, so Austin thinks he's been scammed. Steve tells a friend to put the photos on a deer. Owen's picture should be on the deer's ass. And Steve says the WWF have taken everything away from him. He's been suspended even though he's done nothing wrong. Stone Cold should be on the road defending the IC title, but the WWF are covering themselves by suspending the Rattlesnake. They're afraid of getting sued. Stone Cold says he's coming after Owen Hart. Austin will get payback. And then Steve gets in a little target practice. He hits Jim Ross right in the boomer sooner. He then tells the cameraman to watch his step, and if he falls, Austin will beat the shit out of him. It's brilliant.
Watch that step, it's a doozy, and if you fall, I'll beat that out of you. Come on over here, boy.
Stone Cold hits his target, the deer's ass, and Steve says he's still going to show up at Ground Zero. He'll maybe give up the tag belt, but he's keeping the Intercontinental Championship. But it does sound like Austin wants a fight, so we gotta wait until the pay-per-view later in the week. Fans in the arena were treated to another Davey Boy Smith match. Lucky bastards. We have the Bulldog versus Dude Love. Ross interviews Dude Love again, this time before the match. Foley says he's feeling down after the Steve Austin announcement, but Davey has no time for pre-match promos. The Bulldog destroys Foley with a chair before the match gets underway. Foley gets whipped from corner to corner as Jim Ross says the tag belts are still on the line in the fatal 4-way match at Ground Zero. Replacing Dude Love and Steve Austin will be the Headbangers. So, new tag champs are guaranteed at the pay-per-view. Dude Love takes control by getting a little vicious. We go to commercial break and we come back to see Bulldog locked in a sleeper. Bulldog breaks free, but he ends up taking a back elbow and Mick locks in the sleeper once again. Davey gets out by sending Foley to the outside and Mick takes a rough bump at the guardrails. He takes another big bump at the ring steps. Back in the ring, Davey hits a sweet leg drop and then
Davey Boy Smith Shamrock.
Foley's life flashes before his eyes. He has to think fast here, but fortunately he breaks free with a jawbreaker. Dude Love then begins his comeback. Bulldog gets his head rocked on the top turnbuckle. We see a swinging neckbreaker and Foley tunes up the band. Suede shin music, double arm DDT, and for fuck's sake, we've got interference once again. Owen Hart runs down and the ref throws the match out. After attacking Dude Love, Owen grabs a mic and he tells Stone Cold to watch carefully. He's gonna hit Foley with a pile driver. The Legion of Doom end up making the save. Owen and Bulldog run away. Dude Love wants the Road Warriors to dance with him, but they politely tell Mick to go fuck himself. Brian Pillman gets interviewed by Sunny, and remember how Sunny was showing sympathy for Marlena and Goldust last week? Well, she couldn't care less now. In terms of Marlena becoming Pillman's assistant for 30 days, Brian says it'll be hard at first, but Marlena will have to swallow her pride. Brian says he's no taskmaster. Hey. So Marlena can do a few jobs around the house, sweeping, mopping, cleaning Brian's pipes, a little S&M. Brian even has an outfit for Marlena to wear while she goes about her business. And Brian says it'll be fine because Marlena won't be doing anything she hasn't done with Brian before. Back in the ring, the hitman Bret Hart comes out for an interview and Bret says he still remembers the day the American fans turned their backs on him, April 21st. That was the episode of Raw where Steve Austin attacked Bret in the ambulance. Bret says the hyenas aren't laughing now though because Bret's a 5-time WWF champion and he's proved over and over again that he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Hart says he looks forward to destroying American heroes one after the other, and the Patriot is next on the list. The Patriot may have gotten a lucky win against Bret, but that lasted only a moment. Excellence lasts a lifetime. And Bret says when he's beating up his opponent at Ground Zero, he'll see the faces of all those American fans who turned their backs on him. Bret's gonna beat the Patriot so bad that the fans will have no choice but to show the Hitman respect, and the Patriot's gonna wish he had never heard of Bret Hart or the Hart Foundation. Bret tells the Patriot to bring the red, white and blue. The excellence of execution will bring the pain and the jam. Sonny wants to know why Rick Rude's here tonight, and Rude says he can think of 2 good reasons. Yeah, Bret Hart's giant Canadian balls. Rude doesn't give anything away except his intentions to reel Sonny as soon as humanly possible. He tells her he'll be in the penthouse suite at the Marriott during Ground Zero, and Sonny takes a mental note. She then tries to get info on who's paying Rick Rude to provide these services to Shawn Michaels, not thinking for a moment it could be, Shawn Michaels. And Rude says he offers insurance. If you pay the premium, you can pick up a policy. He provides protection. And Rude says Sonny may need protection herself and he's got just what he needs in his back pocket. The camera's then cut off, but Rude handed Sonny a test kit for gonorrhea. We then get replays of absolutely everything that's already happened on the show before we go back to the ring for our next match, Triple H versus The Undertaker. Unfortunately, the video quality isn't great for this match, but let me tell you what happened. Taker destroyed Hunter in the corner before clotheslining him over the top rope. Triple H got the upper hand back inside the ropes, but it didn't last long. Taker goes for the choke slam, and then Rick Rude makes his way down to the ring. The distraction allows Triple H to take control, but once again, it doesn't last long. We see the jumping clothesline, The Undertaker performs old school, and then Chyna and Rude stand up on the apron. Shawn Michaels then hits the ring when Taker goes after Rude, and the Phenom gets decimated. Rude and Hunter hold the dead man, Shawn lines up a chair shot, but Undertaker breaks free and the heels quickly get out of harm's way. The Phenom takes it out on officials, Jerry Briscoe gets chokeslammed, so does a random security guard. Taker starts attacking referees while Hunter, Shawn and company leave the arena. This carnage was just a very small taste of what was to come at the pay-per-view. The video footage is still bad during the Legion of Doom vs Boricuas match, but don't worry, it fixes itself for the match that follows. This one ended with interference too. I know, it's a fucking joke, isn't it? The Godwins came down, an Animal jumped over the top rope to get at Henry and Phineas. The Boricuas then ganged up on the Road Warriors, and the DOA came out to lend Hawk and Animal a hand. Nothing to see here, guys, it's the same old, same old. The WWF then take a look at the Patriots' history in Japan, and this would get replayed during the Ground Zero free-for-all and the Ground Zero pay-per-view itself. There's nothing really fascinating here. Basically, the WWF are trying to make fans care for the Patriot, but it was going to take more than these kind of videos to do so. And then, back in the ring, Salvatore Sincere gets another match, this time against Ken Shamrock. Fortunately, this one didn't end with interference, but unfortunately, the match was as predictable as they come. Shamrock won after performing a Frankensteiner, followed by the ankle lock. Steve Casey then had a match with Scott Putski. Those who follow Reliving the War may remember Casey jobbing to Kevin Sullivan at the end of 1996, working under the name KC Sunshine, but honestly, I wouldn't have remembered that either if I didn't look it up. Scott Putski has this match and his Ground Zero match against Brian Christopher before he's out ski. It's another predictable match with Putski picking up the win with the Polish Hammer. It's really weird watching Raws for so long then going to this format. I'm glad this wasn't a regular thing. Sonny interviews Paul Bearer. He says Vader shouldn't concern himself with the Patriot. The big man answers to Paul. And as for The Undertaker, it won't be the fat lady who sings when Kane makes his arrival, it'll be the fat man. The show ends with the jobbiest of job matches, the interrogator of the Truth Commission taking on 2 bozos, Jerry Fox and Sonny Rogers. Sonny, of course, gets his Roger absolutely mangled by the interrogator, and Jerry Fox hasn't got a hope in hell. There's nothing wrong with these 2-on-1 squash matches, but the guys doing the squashing have to be pretty good too. Big Kurgan isn't going to win any Match of the Year awards, and Friday night's main event ends on a bad note. The interrogator wins after front suplexing Rogers onto Fox. The show ends with a highlight reel featuring everything that happened during the broadcast, and some inspirational music plays in the background. I'm not joking either. Alright, so now we're all caught up with what the WWF were doing over the past 2 weeks. Next up is Ground Zero in your house, and that video will be available later in the week. HBK versus The Undertaker, Bret Hart versus The Patriot, and the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Elimination match will all take place at the pay-per-view. So join me on Sunday and we'll take a look at the show in detail. Next week we're back to head-to-heads with Raw returning to the USA Network. We've also got Fall Brawl 97 coming up, and the UK exclusive WWF One Night Only show will also get covered on the channel. If you've enjoyed the series so far, you can do me a big favour and hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching and take care.